Today, our destination is another of those picturesque and interesting countries on the African continent, Namibia. Have you heard of it? This small nation is for those who love nature and dream of experiencing famous African safaris with one small difference. It's all very cheap. It's also a destination full of curiosities. Want some examples? Did you know that in this country you'll find the oldest desert in the world? What about 900-year-old trees petrified in the middle of the desert? What if I told you that among the many tourist attractions, there's a tribe you can visit where women don't bathe and are offered to visitors for intimate relations as gifts from their husbands? Curious, isn't it? But before I show you this unique destination, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Namibia, nicknamed Africa for beginners, is a welcoming destination for visitors, attracting many due to the abundance of natural beauty throughout the country. Surrounded by famous African destinations such as South Africa, Angola, Botswana, and Zambia, Namibia is strategically located for those who want to explore the continent. Before European colonization, Namibian territory was home to diverse indigenous communities, such as the Himba, Herero, San or Bushmen, and Nama. Each of them developed unique social, cultural, and economic systems, adapted to the conditions of the region. At the end of the 19th century, Namibia was the target of the European imperialist race, becoming a German colony known as German Southwest Africa. This period is marked by a brutal genocide perpetrated by the German colonizers against the Herero and Nama peoples between 1904 and 1908. Thousands of people were killed, many were subjected to slave labor, and their land was confiscated. This dark chapter in Namibian history left deep scars on society and continues to influence the country's social and political dynamics. The African country was only freed from German rule in 1921, when the Treaty of Versailles ordered the European country to renounce all its colonies. However, this did not mean that Namibians remained free. After the Germans left, South Africa came to dominate the territory. The apartheid country refused to relinquish control over its neighbor until the 1980s, when negotiations began for Namibian independence, which was only made official in 1990. Despite being a former German colony, the country does not adopt German as its official language. English is the local language, spoken on a daily basis and taught in local schools. But don't be fooled, English is not the only language spoken there. Many of the country's 2 million inhabitants also speak traditional dialects and regional languages. Today, the country is known for its political stability, and its economy has a strong primary base. As such, the country is an important regional player in agriculture, with an emphasis on grain cultivation, animal husbandry, such as beef cattle, and fishing activities. It also stands out in mining, through the exploitation of uranium, diamonds, zinc, copper, silver, and gold. And speaking of uranium, Namibia has 5% of the world's known uranium reserves, and the country currently contributes 10% of the world's production of this mineral. Whose interest has this aroused? Any guesses? Obviously North Korea, and incredible as it may seem, some partnerships have been developed in recent years as a result. There are even several buildings in Namibia that were built by North Korea, such as the Independence Memorial Museum in Windhoek, the country's capital. It is dedicated to the anti-colonial struggle and the country's independence, and functions as a central reservoir for materials and memorabilia related to Namibia's anti-colonial resistance and armed liberation struggle. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, Namibia is a popular tourist destination due to its stunning landscapes and unique wildlife. The country offers impressive diversity, from canyons, vast savannas, vast deserts, oases, flamingo lakes, to beaches, including one of the few places where the desert meets the sea. Speaking of deserts, more than 70% of Namibian territory is covered by these vast arid areas, making it likely that you will pass through desert regions on your trip. However, no itinerary is complete without a visit to the most famous desert, the Namib Desert, or Sossusvlei. At 300 km long and 160 km wide on the ocean coast, this desert, also known as the Namib Desert, is the oldest in the world, formed over 43 million years ago. Its dunes and plains seem to dance with the wind along the country's coastline. After exploring the desert, an obligatory stop is the Dead Vlei, or Dead Valley. This inhospitable area has been completely blocked off by dunes, stopping rainwater from reaching it. As a result of the weather and lack of water, the trees in the area have died and become petrified. The trees, which are around 900 years old, form an incredible scene unlike anything you've ever seen, especially because of the contrast between the ever-blue sky and the red of the dunes. In other words, one of the most incredible places in the whole of Africa. But it doesn't stop there. Namibia's amazing scenery continues with the Fish River Canyon, a spectacular canyon that leaves nothing to be desired. It is the largest in the southern hemisphere and the second largest in the world, second only to the Grand Canyon in the United States. This colossal canyon, carved by the Fish River, is 160 kilometer long, 27 kilometer wide, and reaches a depth of 550 meters in some sections. The entire canyon is protected by a national park, the entrance to which is in Hobos. In addition, Hell's Curve, located 10 kilometers from the park gate, offers a privileged view to appreciate the grandeur of the canyon. And, of course, we can't forget the gigantic Etosha National Park. Covering an area of more than 22,000 km², this park is home to a rich variety of botanical and animal species, including some of Africa's most iconic mammals, such as lions, giraffes, leopards, zebras, and rhinos. Those looking for a unique experience during their trip should not miss a visit to the Himba tribe. Internationally known for their characteristic reddish appearance, the Himba attract travelers and photographers to Namibia. Originally from Angola, the Himba chose northern Namibia as their new homeland in the 16th century, mainly due to the search for water. However, migration intensified at the beginning of the 20th century, driven by the genocide caused by the German occupation. They settled in the northern part of the country, a hot and dry place that has allowed this ethnic group to remain isolated and preserve their cultural traditions. The Himba's survival is centered on raising livestock, including dairy cows, sheep, and goats. Women play a crucial role in raising cows and also help to build the houses, known as kraals. These houses have a conical shape and are made of wooden stakes covered in dung and clay. The conical design helps regulate the temperature inside, providing greater comfort in a desert environment. In addition, the Himba tribe has been featured on popular television programs. In the reality show that consists of a group of people living with a tribe for 20 days, adapting to their way of life and exploring different cultures. In terms of traditions, Himalayan children are circumcised before they reach puberty. During the circumcision process, boys remain silent, girls are allowed to scream. In addition, while they are still children, girls are already destined for their future husbands. Marriage takes place when they reach between 13 and 17 years of age. The hairstyles of these women also attract attention and indicate age and social status. A young girl, for example, usually has 2 braids, called ozondado. Shortly before puberty, girls wear long, loose braids around their heads. However, when they complete the puberty ceremony, they receive the headdress, an ornament to wear on the head, which is made of sheep or goat skin, often decorated with iron. Another striking fact is that, curiously, women are not allowed to bathe. That's right, they don't bathe. This is one of the most striking features of the Himba tribe, where women are not allowed to use water to wash themselves. The habit dates back to the great droughts that plagued their ancestors, when only the men had access to water for bathing. As well as applying red ochre, Himbas women take a daily smoke bath to maintain personal hygiene. They put some charcoal in a small bowl of herbs, mainly leaves and small twigs from Kamafora trees, and wait for the smoke to rise. After that, they bend over the bowl and, due to the heat, begin to perspire. To wash their bodies thoroughly, they cover themselves with a blanket so that the smoke is trapped under the fabric. Speaking of women, another curious fact is that polygamy is accepted and a man can have several wives. However, there is an interesting detail. A man's wealth is determined by the amount of cattle he owns. Therefore, he can have as many wives as he wants, as long as he has enough animals to support each union. For each woman, the man needs to have 5 cattle, 2 of which are for the party, and 3 for the wife's family. But what is most striking is the practice of wife swapping or borrowing women. It may sound strange, but it happens in the Kunene and Omusadi regions of northern Namibia, where the semi-nomadic peoples of the Ova Himba and Ova Zimba tribes live. Most of their traditions have been preserved despite Western influence and unrest. Among them is the man comes first tradition, where the woman has little or no say in decision-making, and submission to her husband's demands is prioritist. And surprise or not, when a visitor knocks on the door, the man of the house shows his approval and pleasure at seeing the guest by offering him the Okujipisa Omukazendu treatment. And what is this treatment? Well, it means that the wife is given to the visitor to spend the night while the husband sleeps in another room. If there is no room available, the husband will sleep outside. However, it is important to note that the act of allowing visitors to share intimacy with their wives is considered by the Himba to be the highest form of hospitality, but it is not practiced with just anyone. Men can offer their wives to visitors, but not to ordinary visitors, that is, only among the members of that community. This practice, according to the Himba, deepens friendship and avoids promiscuity and betrayal on the part of the woman, as well as minimizing jealousy in both sexes. There is even a curious fact about this, not just in the tribe, but in the country. In 2014, Kizungere Chundo, a politician in the country, proposed legislation to enshrine this tradition in law. He argued that such a practice would put an end to domestic violence and stated that women can refuse to have sex with guests, but should be obliged to share a bed with guests. His proposal has sparked controversy among activists and legal experts, who question whether the practice is associated with an African tribal touch or rape, as wives allegedly have little say in the matter, according to those who denounce the custom as abusive and risky in a country with one of the highest HIV rates in the world. In his defense, Chiundo responded that the media had misinterpreted him, and he was also strongly defended by the public relations officer of the Office of the Prime Minister of Namibia, who criticized what he considered to be sensationalist coverage of the practice, defending it as socially functional. But what about you? Did you know the country? Tell us what struck you most. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and share the content. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.